Alright guys, welcome back to VALORANT News. The VCT kickoffs around the world have officially got underway, but they were marred massively today by huge technical difficulties all across the world. I simply do not understand how it can possibly be this bad. The off-season lasted for so long, the games start to begin, and all of a sudden it's an absolute disaster, not just in the Americas, but mainly in the Pacific, with this man in action. Very much into your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. Firstly, here from Fnatic, they get underway very shortly indeed, of course, in the EMEA side, but as the number one seed, they get delayed a little bit longer in terms of when they play because they need the first game in Group C to go down before Fnatic play the winner of that. But Boaster, of course, the gel, has been confirmed, contract extended until 2025. So good deal, I'm pretty sure, for Fnatic on that one. They are trying to lock down their players to a longer term option, which makes a lot of sense given the success they had last year and, well, the success you would continue to expect them to deliver going into 2024 and beyond. Speaking of Champions 2024, it will be in Seoul, South Korea. This was rumoured, I believe, now for some time, but it's now locked in officially. We're pretty sure as well, there's been rumours that next year's Champions might well be in China, which actually does make a fair bit of sense, right? You know, they've done Istanbul, they've done, you know, Los Angeles, so a lot of the regions have been covered for Champions. Seoul this year was making a lot of sense, of course, and then quite possibly China the year after. We'll see if that ends up being true, but I would say it's a pretty strong possibility that's what will happen. I know there's also been talk though that the Japanese ecosystem and the Japanese scene has done such a good job in producing Valorant tournaments and making that work. And I know that, of course, Masters Tokyo happened last year, but like generally speaking, in terms of technical difficulties and stuff, it's worked really well in Japan. Whereas in Seoul, in South Korea, at that kind of venue, for whatever reason, it's been a nightmare, and that retains the case for today, as we'll discuss here in a couple of seconds. So let's just get straight into the matches, because there was drama not just in the matches themselves, but also in what happened before and after the matches in many cases. Firstly, Demon1, I love the fact that this guy is not backing down. EG, NRG, doesn't matter. On their first opponent, FURIA, he says, haven't even seen their roster, don't know who's on the team since last year, don't really care either, probably gonna win and move on to the next team, he says. And this is, to be fair, pretty much exactly what they did. But before the game was getting underway, people were really excited, right? Massive off-season, finally getting back into the games. NRG versus FURIA, lots of questions on this NRG team, lots of questions on FURIA. How good are they going to be? You know, it was meant to be 10 p.m. my time, it was meant to be 2 p.m. Pacific time, and the game was meant to start. I don't know why they don't just start the broadcast like an hour early, 2 hours early, so that the matches actually start on time. But it was a shocker, really. And you could even see in some of the examples such as this, that they were literally playing on the wrong patch. And I don't know how this is possible. They hadn't set this up properly, or the tournament client was somehow different to the actual patch update they were meant to play on. But I couldn't believe my eyes, really, when I saw this floating around, that actually the halls here on Breeze were closed, which of course is, like, you know, that's not the latest patch update. So I'm pretty sure, and then they even, I think there was a brief moment where you could see them updating the games on the PCs during the time. It's like, that's something that needs to be done hours, if not days, before the start of the league, but yet it's being done as the first match is about to start. Just so shambolic, right? And I don't know if this is anything to do with the layoffs that have been made, but Riot's production, let's be straight up here, was bad enough already last year. Now there've been loads of layoffs in place. It's definitely not helping, is it? And it's definitely not helping in the Pacific. So, you know, Chet was here. It is coach's room. Again, looking like he's going to go to sleep in the dark room. And it's just tough, right? You expect the tech pauses, but I didn't expect it to be this bad. So, I mean, to be honest, even in the America side, we had, what, an hour delay, hour and a half delay, something like that, which actually was no problem at all compared to what's currently going on in the Pacific. But map 1 at 13-10, Havoc had a tough time here, man. He had 2 frags map 1. It was brutal. He had 0 frags at the half. He then had some good chances. Now, we know that Havoc is a good player. Like, he's obviously got talent, but executing that on the stage is a different story. We know that he was the man that we believe was subbing in for Aspas last year for Loud when they were practicing for the World Championship, because basically Aspas wasn't playing with them. There was apparently internal friction. They got Havoc in to come in instead, and the rumor was he was really talented, really top player, but he hasn't been able to execute that yesterday. And when he was 2-16, people were saying in the chat like, oh, his KD is literally today's date, because, you know, it was the 16th of the 2nd. And of course it got even worse than that. Demon1, I mean, Ethan, I mean, everyone was really impressive on NRG. They were a pretty well-oiled machine, and to be fair, the pistols went in Furia's favor here. So without the pistols, if you just look at it from a gun round perspective, NRG pretty much dominated this series, and that happened on the game 2 as well. So it's kind of what I expected, I would say, from NRG. We know that their practice maybe has not been spectacular, but come a match situation, we know these guys are going to turn up. And yeah, Ethan was just really impressive. Demon1 does what you'd expect him to do. But, you know, Ethan obviously is leading this team, but also from an individual level, especially on the KO, is so good to watch. He's just such a good player, right? So this was the result. I think one of the games ended with a nice little Marved 1v1 as well. Mazera did his best, but Havoc had a tough time. And Havoc got most of his kills right at the start, really, of this ascent. And then NRG brought some interesting ideas to the Ascent as well, so we'll see if teams like Sentinels and others can bring some further rendition to Ascent, because many players were wondering, why is Ascent still in the pool? Because it's so similar how it's played all the time, but I think we will see teams start to adapt more. So NRG onwards, Furia down low. If Havoc plays a bit better, I still think they can be pretty decent, Furia. Like I did predict yesterday, NRG to make it out of the group and Furia to get in the second seed. So based on the results yesterday, I'm actually still kind of happy with that prediction, because we see a similar thing when Cloud9 play MIBR. Either way, neither of these teams played especially quality Valorant, I wouldn't say. But Cloud9 are lucky, maybe not lucky, they signed him, but they're in a position where they have Oxy. And Oxy is unbelievably talented, and I've made this clear for some time now, that this guy is so good, and like without him, I don't know where this team would be, because he's just been hard carrying this team. He gets an ace here in this round, and then he gets another. I mean, he had a couple of aces, and this round, I think, was a 4K, but it was just, I mean, let's have a look at this real quick. This was getting so many likes. Ox even said on Twitter, this is the best round that he's ever played. Here he is with the Sheriff in a crucial round, by the way. This is the thing to consider here as well, that they're down 7-5 on the map 3. This is a massively important round in terms of the way things are going. 2 versus 4, need to get the spike defuse off, and Oxy just comes into the site here on Lotus and just destroys MIBR. Like, gets the first kill, gets the second kill, gets the third, and look at this fourth shot. I mean, that is just spectacular with the Sheriff, and he pops off, and for good reason as a result. Like, that's one of those rounds that makes your tournament. So MIBR, like, fair play to them. But they didn't have an Oxy. And Cloud9 had an Oxy, and that was the difference maker here. And even this round, right, it was 8-7. Vanity clutches a 1 versus 2. You know, in some respects, Cloud9, I think, were pretty lucky to get away with a victory in this series here. And despite the fact that Oxy is easily a good enough player to get through to the next round, to the playoffs, and potentially even to Masters Madrid, I'm not sure that Cloud9 are good enough to make that happen. So it was 2-1 in the end. Really close fought affair here. And yeah, Oxy, again, it's the VLR rating, right? That he has a 1.08 rating because of the role he runs. But, I mean, let's be honest here. Look at the impact, look at the engagements, look at the damage. Look at the ACS, for example, 276. I mean, come on, first kills, first deads. The VLR rating needs to be changed, because this does not reflect, I would say, kind of how valuable Oxy was to the team. It was a 13-11 bind. They lost the split 13-8, and then they bounced back on the Lotus 13-10. But yeah, that pistol round was massively influential, and there was one man that they have to thank for that. So NRG play Cloud9 in the winner's side. That's happening, of course, in a couple of days' time. Furia MIBR happens actually sooner than that. So yeah, my predictions are still valid for now. I've got Furia taking this one, I've got NRG taking this one, and then I've got Furia getting the win against Cloud9. We'll see if that's true. Today, however, is, if the tech delays allow for it, the big games, really. I mean, this is Group B. This is the group of death getting underway. Loud Sentinels, Leviathan 100Ts. As I said, I'm taking Sen and I'm taking Lev, but man, we will see. This is the real test, right? Because Sen Loud, for their first match of the season, that is quite the way to start it. And yeah, really looking forward to how this goes today. But we've got to talk about as well what's been going on in the Pacific, because those 2 games happened in the Americas. Then it was meant to be, well, it is technically, but man, it's an absolute mess. T1 versus Bleak. And here they are several hours ago. This is 6 AM my time. The match is ready to go. Fantastic. Here he is. Ye's on the stage. Ye looks really like happy to be here as well with the team. It feels to me like the vibes on this Bleak team are really good. And Ye feels, you know, comfortable and at home with these guys and everything like that, which is going to be nice to see. So anyway, they're about to get underway, and bang, audio issues arrive. I don't know what these audio issues are. I just don't understand, because Like, I've been frustrated, as many Call of Duty fans have, because I also follow that scene, with tech delays over there. But I swear, they are never anywhere near as bad as we get in Valorant. I simply don't understand how it can be so bad. Like, I don't know what these audio headset issues were doing to mess up the entire stream, but what an absolute shambles, right? And Ye was sitting there, and this is bad for the players as well, because it's not just the fans that get frustrated about this. The players have to sit there and deal with these problems that, like, these don't really happen in other esports to this extent. I don't know what they've got going on. I don't know if it's a Valorant thing. I don't know if it's just the guys they've got running the show here, but it's always a mess, right? And especially for it to be a mess now is just so bad for everyone involved. And it always, like, whatever happens as a result of this series, people will put a bit of an asterisk on it because they're like, well, you know, that wasn't really a fair representation of both teams in a fair state playing against each other, right? So, yeah, he was deeply frustrated. And this delay went on for hours. I mean, it was pretty funny. There were comments in the chat saying that, you know, this is all a plan here to bait NA fans. Because NA fans, like, they can still be awake to watch this if they stayed up late enough to, you know, to bait those fans to stay up late to watch the game and then run an hour-long set of ads on everyone because they're watching. And then the Pacific came up with an announcement to say the match has been paused due to an audio hardware issue. We apologize for the delay. We know you're all excited to see the match. Our teams are working hard. We'll provide you with updates. 3 hours later then, things finally get underway here, and Ye actually gets the first roll on the pistol as they go on to win the round here. So Bleed take the 1-0 advantage early on, and you thought, okay, fantastic, it's finally getting underway. Great news. You know, there's more matches in the day as well to come after this one. But, well, if we tune in right now to the current live stream as I'm recording this video on the Valorant Pacific, it says the following. We'd like to apologize for the delays because the game is 12-12 going to overtime and it's stuck at 12-12. There's some sort of issue. I just don't know anymore. And to be honest, I don't really even care anymore. It's like, what are we actually doing right now? I don't know what this is going to mean. I mean, the stream has been live for like well over 5 hours, if not like 6 hours now. And we haven't even done a map of the day. Like, I don't think it actually is possible to get worse than this going forwards. Like, obviously, Curry's given his perspective. Have you guys just tried restarting the PC? How about that one? And Tens, right? Like, he wanted to stay up and watch this. Kaide said he's got, you know, got to go to bed soon. When's this match going to start? And then Tens eventually decided, all right, you know, another tech pause. I'm out of here. I'm going to bed. And, yeah, if he did stay up, he'd have found lots more where that came from. So, an absolute mess. I'm hopeful they can fix this either ASAP or at least for the rest of the time. But I think that if there was anything you could have predicted at the start of the season was massive tech delays. And that's exactly what we have. But very much interested in your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. And I'll see you next time.